for the anonymous question.
What's going on at night? This is Peanut Butter from Atlanta. So I used to be gay. And now I'm with this girl. I mean, maybe I'm bisexual. I don't know. But I don't fuck dudes anymore. Anyways, I'm with this girl, and she's starting to get hints of my past. But, like, I'm not gay no more. Should I tell her this? What happens? I mean, I really like her, but I feel like if I come clean and tell her that I used to be with dudes, she's not gonna like me anymore. What should I do?
This is, I mean, we laugh, and especially, like, if your name Peanut Butter, I think she might have knew. But I feel like, especially, you know, this day and age, this might be a problem that, you know, is somewhat common, where a man has probably made some decisions earlier on in life, and he realizes, okay, this is what I like, this is what I desire, I want a wife, and whatever his lifestyle was before that, should the woman that he falls in love with judge him or accept him for who he is?
Well, this is
who he was.
There are a lot of women who, in my experience, in my office, who a lot of women maybe would not be okay with that. But I also think that honesty is the best policy. Peanut Butter, he's not gay, but he's not straight, right? So I would classify his sexual orientation as bisexual. You know, he's not a Kinsey 0, which is somebody who's exclusively attracted to the opposite sex, but he's not a Kinsey 6, which would be somebody who's only exclusively attracted to the same sex.
What's Kinsey mean?
Kinsey was one of the most famous sex researchers.
Oh,
and he did a lot of research in this country, and it was pretty groundbreaking decades ago to actually collect all this data when nobody would talk about sex, to actually see how many people are actually attracted to both sexes, how many people have done this sexual act, these positions. And at the time, it was groundbreaking. But today, there's still a lot of stigma around bisexuals. You know, you and I talked about this in another episode. Bisexuals do exist.
Right.
It exists in men and it exists in women. Rosa's raising her hand.
Rosa's one of them.
And, you know, so if you have a partner who is so closed off that they can't accept that, then, you know, that may be their loss. But there's something in his voice that tells me that he doesn't actually know exactly what he wants yet, right? He said, well, maybe I'm this, maybe I'm that, maybe I'm something in the middle. I would also really encourage him to figure out what is it that you actually want.
Right.
And where is that choice coming from?
What if he want both?
Then he shouldn't be able to have both.
But I think
like them smoothies she was talking about.
Strawberry banana.
I think that also, like, you have to have respect for the other person and allow them to make the decision of, do I want to date a bisexual man? Just like when when men will lie or withhold like information about being actually married, or, you know, they say I'm divorced, but I'm just separated. Like when you withhold that information from me, you take the ability of me making that decision for myself. So the same thing, I think, with every lie, you should just allow the other person to like make that decision. And I feel like, yes, there might be a few people that are just gonna be like, hey, I cannot like deal with that. But a lot of people might.
Yeah.
So take your chances. Don't disrespect that person.
Right.
She's gonna eventually find out. I mean,
and it's gonna be far worse if she finds out somebody.
Yeah, so when do you share that? Or even how does an individual like that who may be bisexual, like, and they want to now just be heterosexual, that has to be a lot of pressure to be like...
Well, I wouldn't say it that way. I would say somebody who is deciding to only have sex with the opposite sex, somebody who is actually going to be classified as bisexual, that is their orientation. If you're deciding that you want to be in a relationship with one person, I mean, a bisexual person can be in a relationship with a man or a woman. So I think to your point, Rosa, if that person is okay with it, great. And if they're not, they're probably just not the person for you.
Oh, but and allow me to get into your business just a little bit, Doc. I know I got a question in that sense, though. But did you ever date the opposite sex, or were you ever in a relationship with a girl?
I'm what they call a gold star gay. I have never had sex with a woman. It was never an issue for me. I knew that was not gonna work. No way, no how.
You look at the vagina in the textbook and say, ew. No.
All right, because that's what I was gonna say. The only reason why I was asking that question, because I'm pretty sure, especially as people are growing up, they have to figure out what they are into or what they're attracted to, because I have met a lot of gay guys that say, yo, I used to have a girlfriend, or I know a lot of gay guys that got kids, you know what I mean? So it took a time, and now they're all the way loud and proud and out there. So where do you classify bisexual and just, you know, gay or, you know, homosexual?
Well, on
solely?
that Kinsey scale, you know, it's a 0 to 6, so you could be a Kinsey 2, 3. So somebody who is...
So 2 and 3 is still bisexual.
Anything that's not a 0 or 6 is bisexual, right? It's a matter of, are you... Well, this is interesting. I think we talked about the study before.
Right.
There is a little bit of, in this study, where they actually put a cuff around the man's penis and then showed them porn of both sexes to see, well, let's see what you're really attracted to, right? So,
A dick lie detector.
that's exactly what it was. And there were some people who were right in the middle. So there were some people who were like Kinsey 3s. Their dick got as hard, there was as much blood flow in the penis looking at a man or a woman, which does tell us that bisexuality does indeed exist. However, most people do tend to cluster around 0, 1, 5, or 6. So there's probably more people. That doesn't mean that bisexuality does not exist, because what we are seeing over time is that your subjective reporting of what you are is now coming closer to, or lines up more with, what we found in that study, because they did that study decades ago and more men were lying, right? Because it was not okay to be gay, it was not okay to be bisexual. Now men are actually telling the truth more. So that should actually put some women's minds at ease.
Well, also, too, and now to get in your business a little bit, it seems, because Rosa is loud and proud and, you know, talks about her various relationships with men and women, and she's like, I don't see people, if any, they don't judge her, they praise her for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, even I said, you hear a girl say, ow! Like, but if a man said that, it's more taboo.
For
and all.
sure.
So is it,
Sure.
it's safe to say that when a woman accepts saying that she's bisexual, she's more...
So bisexuality in women is seen more as, it's more accepting. But when I say I'm only lesbian, men are losing their mind. Because it's like, well, like, you maybe haven't met the guy that's gonna, the right guy.
Somebody ain't put it down yet.
Right.
You ain't had no good dick.
Insert-
in a while.
What a waste, you know. As to when I'm bisexual, I'm still selling the idea that a man is gonna benefit from that. From
you took
that
it to
experience.
society.
Right.
So in a masculine society, the fact that if they still
In the
feel like they have a
patriarchy-
chance.
In the patriarchy, like being a bisexual woman is still gonna be a
desirable.
Right, because it's like men are like, well, you know.
Because now
she
you
goes down-
tapping into my fantasies.
Right,
Because a man's thinking, oh, she's bisexual, that means threesome.
right.
But that's not necessarily the case. You're just saying, I have been attracted to
I do not
both.
share my things. I do not share.
So you're
my,
a one person at a time kind of woman?
yes, my lady is my lady, and if I'm dating a man, my man is my man.
It's very interesting.
And the same thing goes with my partner. I will rather date a man that is bisexual but heavy on monogamy than a man that's straight but is bringing me 17 STDs and dating
Really?
20 other women at the same time he's dating me.
That's interesting. Honesty.
interesting.
Yeah, honesty,
So
right?
you'd rather have a man, really, you just want an honest man.
Like somebody that's...
Or a woman.
Right. When you're with me, you're with me. And the same thing goes for women. I will lose my mind if I think, I don't know why, but the thought of, I'm like pissed off. The thought of my woman, like, being with somebody else, I feel like, can I have some water?
Let's get
pisses me
Rosa
off.
some water.
You know?
So it doesn't matter whether it's male or female, you want what's yours solely for you during that time.
Yes. Before me and after me.
Because there is a
You
thought
got
out
life.
there that when people have alternative lifestyles, that they're more promiscuous. And specifically, when you think about things like Pride Month or even just, you know, the LGBTQIA community, it doesn't, from the outside looking in, it looks like, oh, they just out there having a good old time, you know, and you think orgies all the time, when mainly you can be in a traditional relationship, husband and husband, and be committed, and there's no wildness going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what is interesting? I don't think it's actually queer versus straight. I think it's, do you have two male gay brains who both want, you know, because men tend to have more sex partners, right?
Right.
So when you look at the research, gay men tend to have a lot more sex partners than lesbians. So when you have two female brains in a relationship, so it's not a queer versus straight thing. It's sort of like male brain and female brain, and how do those
Is it a testosterone thing?
A little bit is testosterone for sure.
Do you think
and
it's also
evolutionary? A lot of it is social. It's rewarded. Men are supposed to be, you know, having sex. They're studs. Women are quote sluts, right? There's a double standard there. There's so many double standards out there. And from an evolutionary point of view, there is probably more changeability in a woman's orientation versus a man's being more fixed. So, for example, if a woman has, you know, if they're basically heterosexual, but they go through a really traumatic experience with a man, their sexual orientation probably has a little bit of changeability, but men's sexual orientation tends to be pretty fixed. It's like your height. There's not a lot you can do to change your height.
Right.
So if you're born bisexual, you're bisexual. The sex hormones, and also it can be genetic, it can be passed on by the changes in hormones. So for example, your chance of being gay will differ if you're the firstborn or the thirdborn, because hormones shift. If a mother has a flu during the time she's pregnant, that can increase the chance of having a queer son, because it's hormonal, but it can also be passed on.
Wow.
And when you look at family trees, that's sort of a different mechanism.
Wait, hold on, slow that down, Doc. Did you say if your mom has the flu, the chances are increased of the child possibly being...
It will change the chances of your child's sexual orientation, because it'll subtly change the hormone levels in the womb. And there are again, two ways that somebody can be, quote, programmed to be gay, to be queer like me, right? So if you look at a family tree, and if you see a lot of gay people or queer people in that family tree, it's passed on in one way, but it can also be when we are all in the womb, the sex hormones wash over both your genitalia and your brain. So if you're an intersex person, it means that those sex hormones didn't fully wash over the genitalia, so then maybe you have ambiguous genitalia, but then the level of sex hormones also sort of wash over the brain and will sort of program and lock sexual orientation. So when we look at that, it is very interesting just to look at all of that data and what it means.
Wow, hey, you learn something new every day. You see your gay friend like, oh, my mama had the flu. She's sick, so now I like dick. It's okay. I'm joking.